But I was in a chat group on Instagram with my best friends, and one of them just sent a meme, and it was of Georgiana Darcy sort of being annoyed at her brother for mooning over Elizabeth Bennet. And then my other friend said, you know what you should do? You should write a young adult novel set in contemporary times with Georgiana Darcy as the heroine. And I said, really flippantly, no, no, no. What I would do is I would make it cozy crime because that's in right now, and I set it in the 1990s so that she could be a prodigy who listens to the prodigy, and that was it. It was just that exchange, that just out of nothing. And then I went away and thought, I do need another project. Like maybe I could write this, but it seems so outrageous for me. Like, who the fuck am I to write a Jane Austen spin-off? Like, what do I mean, I love Jane Austen, I love Pride and Prejudice, but how could I even do that? So I wrote the first chapter to see if I could get the voice, and I had so much fun with it. And then I just thought, yeah, I'm going to go for it. So Georgiana Darcy is the younger sister of Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. She got herself into an unfortunate scrape with George Wickham, who was the cad of Pride and Prejudice, who runs off with Elizabeth Bennet's little sister and almost does not marry her, which would have been a great scandal and the ruination of the entire Bennet family. So Georgiana does have a really important role to play in Pride and Prejudice, but unfortunately she doesn't have a single line of dialogue. So that gave me a really good opportunity to kind of give her a voice and imagine what she would say if given the chance. And I've had a lot of fun with that. From that tiny, tiny little germ of an idea that came to me through my friends, we've got 3 novels about Georgiana Darcy. It's a Motorola pager, like this one. It's a Alpha Elegant she finds in the woods of Pemberley. And obviously, it's quite weirded out by this because it's glow green and it beeps, and she doesn't know what a beep is. And there's a red button she presses, and that is the mechanism by which she travels through time. Now, I never had a pager in the 90s. Don't know if you did. I was a little bit too young for pagers. She's not even really familiar with the idea of a detective. I think that phrase wasn't even around in the Georgian period. But, rather than she's seen something that she shouldn't have seen, she can't explain why she's there or how she got there. So she's torn between calling a constable, but also she has this natural curiosity, like, how has this happened? She's seen this thing, nobody else has seen it. So this is what gets her drawn into the mystery. But there's also the twist that with her pager, when it beeps, she has the choice to press the button and leave, or to ignore it. But it may never beep again. So it's not just that she can press it when she wants. So she has to make that choice. So there's that tension always. I had a lot of fun with it, like hopping, sending her between the timelines at very inconvenient points for her. The only way really to get the tension in it would be if it was beyond her control, when it started to glow and beep, and then she would have to either make the decision. She could be in a position of peril. Does she stay and try and help the other people that are also in peril, or does she just flee to safety? So she never knows when it's going to be. And I think without that, the story wouldn't have really worked, because it would be all very comfortable for her. If she could go, oh, I'm bored today, I think what I'll do is I'll go forward to 1995. So yeah, there would have been no narrative tension in that. So as soon as I had worked that out, I generally tried to pick the most difficult, situations to have the pager begin to beep. So I like the idea of the fish out of water. And it just so happened that in spring 1995, when I was a very shy 14-year-old, I'd been sent to Saltram House, where they were filming the Hollywood adaptation of Sense and Sensibility with Emma Thompson, Hugh Grant, young Kate Winslet, Alan Rickman. And I remember that going on, but I wasn't interested in that because at the time I wanted to be a Dartmoor Ranger, which is like out on the wild moors near to me and just looking after the environment and just being alone basically. And I had a romantic idea that I'd be good at that. I think I saw myself there in good weather though, but not so much in the horrendous storms that Dartmoor gets. So my job was to shadow the warden of Saltram House. And so I did that for a week and then went back for a few more weeks later. And so I thought, well, I have the memories of being there in the 90s with this big film production that everyone was talking about. And I thought, where better to send Georgiana Darcy from Pride and Prejudice than the Sense and Sensibility set. So half of the people she thinks are dressed perfectly normally, and the other half she's very baffled by. It's tricky because obviously the real actors, like I didn't want to use their actual names, so I have just like I have them referred to by Marianne and Eleanor. But there are no Jane Austen yet. But there is a character in the '90s timeline called Jane who is very much like Jane Austen. She has that kind of wise, sort of knowing wit about her. But yeah, I had loads of fun with it. There's loads of different literary Easter eggs littered all the way through that novel and through the second one. Anne doesn't really have anything to say in Pride and Prejudice, but I love the idea of kind of reclaiming Anne and making her, instead of a pitiful, sort of wan, sickly creature that Elizabeth is quite scathing of, she's actually Georgiana's cousin, and they have quite a good alliance. And Anne is just a bit beaten down by the world, but she has her own private opinions of Lady Catherine de Bourgh. And she doesn't agree with them. She's rolling her eyes a lot. So that was a really fun relationship. And I bring Anne back for the second one because I loved writing her so much. So Quinn is the hero from 1995, and he is an Irishman who's working as a security guard, or man of security, as Georgiana thinks of him, at the Saltram House during the production of Sense and Sensibility. So he's immediately drawn to her, albeit thinking that Georgiana is very weird. But there's something about her, and they have a bit of a connection. And she's led a very sheltered, privileged life, but her head is definitely turned by this handsome Irish man. The thing that helped me the most was actually buying the audiobook of Jane Austen's letters. So having Jane Austen in my ears, I just went about my everyday, tasks and chores and stuff, was really useful. And if I did that for even half an hour before I sat down to write, I'd be able to find Georgiana's voice. So thank God for audiobooks.